Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cryptids and Critters Paranormal. I'm your host, the Dooster. Today I got a story I want to share with you. I found this story when I was doing research for my book about the Bell Witch, which is entitled Something Wicked, the Bell Witch Phenomenon. If you would like this book or any of my other books, you can get them from Amazon.com, or you can, I have them here at my home. So if you would like to order one, shoot me an email to ghosthunter911@gmail.com. Again, that is ghosthunter911@gmail.com. I also have a Facebook page called Soggy Bottom Bookstore. You can kind of browse through my books there. It'll give you the prices of them, the availability, the number of pages, and tell you a little bit about the book. Anyway, the story I want to share with you today takes place in Appling County, Georgia. There is a small town in Appling County, Georgia called Surrency that has a very haunted past, beginning with the early 1800s with the Surrency family. This haunting continues today with the famous Surrency spook lights. Years before the town of Surrency was established, the Surrency family owned a farm there. Their property existed long before many folks had moved into the area and way before any commercial buildings were constructed. The Surrencys were a normal family, but had also accumulated some wealth in various business dealings among the less fortunate folks in the vicinity. The Surrencys were very prominent, and even owned another fine home in a different town. And by all accounts, the Surrency home was a beautiful farmhouse, and the family seemed very comfortable there, at least for some time anyway. But one day something happened that shook the family to its core. Something wicked came knocking at the door, or maybe it had been there all along. Anyway, one day in the early 1870s, weird things began happening. Windows inexplicably slammed shut, then flew open by unseen hands. Multiple family members witnessed the windows opening and closing on their own. Then doors slammed shut with no one near them. And the terrible drafts, a bitter coldness that seemed to manifest out of nowhere. The family was indeed shaken, but refused to let something as small as cold air and slamming windows drive them from their beautiful home and property. But these were mild occurrences compared to the horrors to come. The Surrency family became a haunted family. They started to believe it wasn't just their house, but maybe themselves. Objects flew off shelves. The old clock began to strike 13, and the hands spun wildly out of control whenever it did. The Surrency children refused to leave the house at night to check on the horses or to gather water. They claimed multiple pairs of glowing red eyes surrounded them in the dead of night. Every time they sat down to eat as a family, their meals were violently thrown in their laps, and it seemed there was not one but dozens of spirits haunting the Surrency home. Or perhaps it was just one very powerful, very angry spirit. The family lost sleep and couldn't eat because of the constant torment. One source mentioned that the ghost twisted the family's forks every time they tried to eat a meal. Seemingly an exaggerated ghost story, some claim the Surrency family made it up for attention. Yet numerous people witnessed the Surrency family's bizarre haunting. People began speculating if their home was situated on a ley line or some kind of powerful magnetic grid. Long before the Surrency haunting became a tourist attraction, scientists, mediums, and clergy visited the infamous home. The locals believed Mr. Surrency was in league with the devil, which seemed to explain the ghost and the family's wealth. However, a visiting psychic medium believed the Surrency family had extrasensory abilities, and it was stated that the family didn't recognize these abilities, which in turn angered the spirits. As time passed, the Surrency ghosts became more aggressive. They targeted the little girl, pulling her hair, twisting her sheets, ripping her out of bed, tormenting her day in and day out. She was plumb exhausted, worn, and frail. How could this family survive a haunting that robbed them of their meals, their sleep, or their sanity? Finally, the Surrency family decided to move. The last straw happened when an andiron itself lifted from a fireplace and struck the Surrency boy. It then floated back to the fireplace, leaving the boy bleeding and crying on the floor. The sound of babies crying emanated from the attic and continued non-stop for days and nights on end. The Surrency family finally made a decision to abandon their beautiful home and leave the area. And even after the Surrency family moved, they still experienced hauntings, but not quite as bad as what they had endured in the farm. The farmhouse was abandoned for many years, but the locals still visited, and it was a major attraction for ghost hunters and those wanting to witness the haunting. Train rides delivered ghost hunters to the dilapidated property, and eventually the haunted Surrency house burned down in 1925. So what do you think actually may have haunted the Surrency family? There's a few theories that have surfaced over the years. The farmhouse was situated on a ley line. Another theory says that the farmhouse may have been built over a Native American burial ground, or perhaps the land experienced something tragic in Native American history. The Surrency and family themselves were haunted and had extrasensory abilities of which they denied, further infuriating the spirits. One of the Surrency kids experienced telekinesis and caused a poltergeist activity. Another theory says there's water underground, which causes chaotic energy fields above. And some even claim that Mr. Surrency was into the occult and drew spirits into the household himself. And of course, there's always a theory that it was all made up to draw tourism to the farmhouse and make money. Now, the famous Surrency ghosts aren't the only haunting in town. Another paranormal occurrence was commonly called the Surrency spook lights. A yellow ball of light is seen hovering over the Surrency railroad track. This ghostly light has been spotted since the early 1900s and is still seen even today. Bored teenagers and even paranormal investigators go searching for the famous light, with some actually witnessing the event. Folks claim that when you do spot the spook light, you cannot approach it because it almost immediately disappears. Theories also abound as to what causes a spook light. Maybe natural gas collecting above ground, or perhaps the lights from a ghost train that crashed or derailed 100 or so years ago. Some even relate the Surrency spook light to the will-o'-the-wisp or jack-o'-lanterns of European folklore. These specific lights are linked to the fairy folk and are to the recently dead. What's interesting, if we look at this particular paranormal phenomenon deeper, is we must first identify the fact that it takes place on a train track. Train tracks are notoriously known to harbor hauntings for several reasons. One, because there are more often tragic accidents that have occurred on them, which cause the hauntings. And two, because the train tracks are liminal spaces, a space that's neither here nor there, and liminal spaces are known to be a portal or door to other dimensions into the spirit world. And that was a little story of kind of a condensed story of the Surrency haunting in Surrency, Georgia. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, subscribe to my channel. Like it, share it, and we'll be back with some more paranormal tales. So once again, hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.